Twitch. Welcome to Wednesday evening. First up tonight, we got Dustin's final podcast. And here's your musical director and your host, Dustin, Chafin, and Anthony Kapfer.
Welcome to Dustin's final. With the awkward intro. I think Jay needs to write that down. Just write it down.
Yeah. I like it though. You know me. I love you like awkwardness.
I like it too, but I'm going to make fun of it because I like Jay very much, but I'm going to make fun of him.
Jay's the best.
Yeah. You're just trying to get another show. You're on Twitch enough, dude. Welcome to Dustin's Vinyl. Way better than that KO show. Am I right? I'm just kidding. So anyway, what? So how you been, Anthony? You been good? You have a good week? What'd you do? Anything exciting? Did you?
I got a haircut.
Shaved your mustache.
I shaved my mustache. I got a haircut.
Oh, you went for bangs too. I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, I did a shag.
You look nice. You look like the lead singer of Night Ranger. I love it. Sister Christian, oh, the time has come.
You know the drummer wrote that one?
Did he really?
Yeah.
That makes sense. I think drummers write the sappiest love songs. You know what I mean? Like Peter Criss wrote Beth. Like that's all I know.
No drummer has ever written another song, I don't think.
I think those two.
Phil Collins, he must have written some.
He wrote a bunch of shit. Well, I think his solo work was him. I think he wrote.
Yeah.
I don't know about Genesis, but
what did he? Invisible Touch. He must have written Invisible Touch.
I don't like Phil Collins or Genesis. I can't do any of it.
That Invisible Touch album my mom had when I was a kid, so I just remember hearing some of those songs growing up. So I know they're lame songs, but they just have a place in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, he's a good drummer, I think, but,
I don't know. A really good drummer.
And that Still the Night, I think I'm just pissed off that Still the Night thing became like this folk legend, and then it came out that he saved the guy, and the guy was in the boat and a thing, and he didn't want to save him. He took him to the concert, and he sang the song to his face, and it was all just bullshit. And I just got mad at Phil Collins for creating this thing in my head that I thought was real.
Oh, I didn't know that there was a whole story.
You didn't know that? Oh.
That was a regular old song.
Sure, Adam heard about it. It was like a thing where it was like, here's the deal. This is what I heard as a kid. I'm paraphrasing the whole thing because it's whatever. It's like, here's say bullshit anyway. It's kind of like Richard Gere with the gerbil. You know what I mean? Like it's this thing. Did it happen? Or did just idiots just come up with it? And we all started saying that it happened. So apparently there was a guy on a yacht, and Phil Collins was on a yacht, and Phil Collins sees the guy on the yacht, and then he sees the guy drowning, but he can't get to the guy because he's too far out. But the guy in the yacht just smoking a cigar just watches him drown. So this is how he came up with the song, right? And this is those, I can see you, coming in the air. It's like if you think about the lyrics, it'll match up with that story. And so the whole thing was that he found this guy who watched the guy drown, and he invited him to a concert, a Phil Collins concert. Had him on the front row, and then sang the song to his face, and then like flipped him off or something. I don't know. It was like something, and we were just as kids, we're like, I can't believe that. And that's all we talked about was every time we heard the song, you would tell the story. You would hear the song, you would tell the story, and it was just this fucking ridiculous thing. Anybody in Twitch land, I know you're all like 14, but did anyone hear this story as a kid? I heard it many, many times.
I never heard it.
If you have another folklore story, let us know. We got what was the other one? Rod Stewart. He had to pump his stomach of too much semen or something.
Oh, I did hear that one. That one I heard.
One. That one doesn't go away. You don't unhear that one. And the gerbil thing was ridiculous.
The gerbil thing I had heard.
I don't know. I think that was like fake news before there was fake news, I guess. Well, I guess there's always been fake news, huh? How about that moon landing? You know what I mean? I don't know. But so yeah, I was on the road a little bit. I was in Springfield, Missouri.
Ooh, Springfield's fun.
I wouldn't call it fun, but it's a place.
Well, I had a good show in Springfield, so I'm like, oh yeah, I love this place. I don't remember actually doing anything else.
Yeah, I could see them liking you there. They're kind of like, they smoke a lot of weed and stuff. But they're kind of, they look like you. I always say there's two looks in places like that. With the men, they either look like they grow their own weed or they're a football coach. Like, I feel like that's that's the two looks in a place like Springfield. But we went there, and then we went to Kansas City. And I had the best barbecue I've ever had in my life. Like, I feel like, I don't know if you've ever had barbecue where you're trying to eat the bone. It's so good. I was like gnawing on the bone like a fucking Rottweiler.
Yeah.
But, Kansas City, Arthur Bryant's is the best barbecue I've ever had in my entire life.
Bryant's.
And I am from the state of Texas, and I feel like I still.
Yeah, that's high praise coming from you.
I think Texas probably crushes brisket, but I think ribs are gonna go KC. And that kind of stuff, but it was good, man. It was it's a cool music town. They got like we went to like a blues brunch, that kind of thing.
Oh, nice.
Kind of nice. Eat chicken fried steak and eggs while some dudes on a tuba. You see somebody that look cool on a tuba, you never really ever see that.
It's hard to do.
But this dude looked cool playing a tuba, because to me, tuba is the out of shape, band. The guy's member of the band, marching band,
Yeah.
It's like out of breath. It's always the one that's like when they're running, like he's like about like 5 behind, like he can't keep up because he's got
that thing's heavy. That thing's gigantic.
And they're usually heavy too, because I think you got to be heavy to play it. Like you got to have this. I can't imagine being skinny playing a tuba. Like you couldn't play a tuba.
I don't think so.
You would suck yourself in that thing. That's a skinny guy instrument. The guitar, it's like a couple big guys play guitar. Like B.B. King was pretty big. And he played guitar, but not too many. Not too many heavy guys play guitar.
No, they usually switch to bass as they get bigger.
Yeah. Speaking of bass players, was it worth that?
I don't know.
Just let me have a bomb joke, and then I'll get the rim shot. You're hilarious. You'll be like, segues. I get that. How about that weather? What time is it? Okay. So we lost a great bass player from one of my favorite all-time bands, ZZ Top, one of the best American rock and roll bands of all time. There you go.
That's all I know from that one.
All I know is Dallas, Texas, Hollywood. I ain't asking for more. Lord, take me downtown. I'm just asking for some tush.
And then they have another one that's almost the same kind of riff. It's like,
Is this Shot Dress Man?
I think so.
I think so. Women go crazy by the Shot Dress Man.
Nice. I just learning them.
Black shoes. I don't know what I'm gonna do. Nice. So, Joseph Michael, better known as Dusty Hill, was the bassist and lead backing vocals for ZZ Top. He also played keyboards. And he passed this week. I believe it was this week, 28th, I think. And he was great. And I have quite a few ZZ Top albums. This is one with Tush on it. This is a perfect album. This album is phenomenal. This is
a cool cover too. I like that.
Cool cover. It's what is it? Digello? I don't know what it's called. Digello. And it's got I thank you. And it's got what else is that? Cheap Sunglasses is a great song. Every song on here is great. This is like one of those albums you just play all the way through. You don't have to pick up the needle. It's a really good album. And then you got one that's not as good, but it's still ZZ Top. So it's like it's interesting though. It's this one. This one's kind of funny. It's like funny cover. It's this is this which one is El Loco? This is El Loco. And I mean some of the, they got Tube Shaped Boogie, and it's kind of, I don't know what else is on here that I like. Don't Tease Me is pretty good, but Party on the Patio, like, it's good. It's just kind of like, I don't know. It's like sometimes you like a band, even when there's stuff that's not as good as the another album, it's still them. You know what I mean? You get to hear the guitar licks, you still get the kind of the vocal, and them as a trio is one of the best trios of all time. I think there's very few great trios. I think there's Stray Cats, there's ZZ Top. Who else would be a great trio in your opinion? Like a good 3-man band.
I mean, I loved Green Day. I loved
Is that
Nirvana.
3-man?
Well, they were.
Oh, 3-man. Nirvana's 3-man too?
Huh? Nirvana was 3 until their last tour. They added Pat Smear.
Oh, okay. I got you.
And then Green Day was a trio until they started playing arenas. Now they have some extra.
See, that's some pussy shit. Because ZZ Top was 3 all the way. And so was Stray Cats and stuff. And then this album pretty much changed the 80s. And this was ZZ Top. It's got Give Me All Your Lovin', Sharp Dressed Man.
Oh, yeah.
Legs. Like, this is one of those.
That's the one.
Yeah, this is the one.
That's a cool album cover, too.
It's a cool album cover. It became their logo, this car. It ended up in all the videos. It was just a really kind of a groundbreaking and also a launching moment for them, because it's cool when bands are like good and like have like a blues following or whatever, and then they pop. It's just like very few bands get to do that. It's like even somebody like Stevie Ray Vaughan never popped like this. And even like his brother, who was in Fabulous Thunderbirds, I mean, they kind of had a little more popularity on, MTV or whatnot. But Tough Enough, I think, was their big song. But anyway, this is, it's cool. They're a Texas band. Dusty was born in Dallas as well, so I relate to that. And ZZ Top always seemed like this, they were just a little too cool, for Texas almost. Like they were just beyond like that Texas honky tonk bullshit. Like it was just this real kind of bluesy music. Like if you close your eyes, you wouldn't think that it was just three white guys, like they really had a great sound. And and I loved that. And the video stuff too was great. Just watching, because when MTV came out, they were a major play. It was,
what was the one where the guitars spin?
It might be Sharp Dressed Man. It might, I don't know.
I think it is. Yeah.
I feel like that makes sense. Yeah, because they're like furry guitars. And like spinning,
and they're playing, and then it spins while it's on them. And then
what was cool about them too is like this era of music was a lot of keyboards. It was a lot of that synth stuff and Devo and that kind of stuff, which is great, but it was basic rock and roll. Yeah, is what ZZ Top was. And so, Dusty Hill, rest in peace. I never got to see ZZ Top. It was one of those bands that I wanted to see, and I never got to see him. And I hate that when somebody.
And I think they were supposed to do a tour. So
they were about to go on tour, yeah. So that's always sucks. I mean, I guess they could fill in with the guy and it'd be fine, but it'd be weird to have some other dude, It's like a dude without a beard, just like
the only dude without a beard that's allowed in ZZ Top is the drummer.
He's got a mustache.
Like, and his last name is Beard, right?
Is it? Oh, that makes sense.
I think so. Unless it's a different guy. They did have a drummer.
What's the irony of that?
That's my favorite thing about ZZ Top is that they had a drummer with the last name Beard who didn't have a beard.
Oh, that is funny. Did you say it was a different drummer? Because I think it's been the same guy Frank Beard. But it's been the same dude for a long time. I think it's original, right? Did they have some before him? Is that what you're saying?
I don't know. I never really...
I think it's these three. It's Billy Gibbons, Dusty Hill, and Frank Beard. I think that's what it's always been. But so get you some ZZ Top on vinyl. There's some stuff that doesn't sound that great on vinyl. And I'm starting to learn that. Like, it's like I'll be in a record store and I'll be like, hey, I want to get that. That's from my childhood. That's a cool album. And then I'll realize it's not something I would really listen to on vinyl. It's not something that would really come through the speakers in a way that I would be happy I paid what I did for it, as opposed to just listening to it on Spotify. And there's certain records, certain bands I'll buy on vinyl. And this is one of them. Allman Brothers, ZZ Top, anything pretty much with a saxophone or bass or, kind of. I'll always buy jazz. I always buy jazz on vinyl because I think it sounds a little better. But ZZ Top sounds great. It's just, you can hear it, it's like that. I think it has a lot to do with the 3-man band because it's not overproduced. So it just sounds better.
Yeah. There's not like it's not like Blue Oyster Cult with 3 guitar players or whatever filling up all the sound.
Yeah, some of that stuff it's like, sticks on vinyl. I'll pass. Or the Eagles. Where is he? Where is he? Where is he? He's not here.
There we go with the fucking Eagles.
Well, we're gonna break. Well, that doesn't exist yet, so you can't get that on me. I'm not. I'm neutral with the whole Eagles thing. But before we get into Eagles, I guess what? Maybe I'll wait a second until we'll bring in one of the co-hosts, and then we have another co-host coming. But I guess he's performing at some gig or something. So welcome to Dustin's Vinyl, everybody. I'm bringing in my co-host. Come on, play him in, Anthony. Let's do some ZZ Top.
Oh, you want the ZZ Top?
Yeah. Well, go crazy by the sharp dress animals, everybody.
Hey, guys.
What's up, buddy?
How's it going?
Good. Just having an awkward beginning. That's what we do here. just an all over the place, non-prepared.
That's always the best way, though.
Right? I think so. I think people over-prepare too much.
Yeah, it's loose. People like it loose.
Loose and crazy.
Well, at the top of the show, you were talking about urban legends, and we got one of the viewers here. Happy Mischief says, the Munchkin suicide in Wizard of Oz is a fun one.
Oh, what's that? What's that?
If I remember, there's one of the scenes with Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Lion and Scarecrow as they're going down the Yellow Brick Road. If you look off in the distance, it looks like something is hanging. And they said it was one of the Munchkins committing suicide.
Oh, wow.
But was that real or was that
no, it was it was a prop that was just kind of loose or hanging there, or it was like a bird or something. It was debunked though.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, it is always funny when things get debunked. It's more fun for you to think that they're actually real.
Right. Well, that's like the In the Air Tonight one they were talking about. I remember hearing about that, but
you did, right?
Yeah, I heard about that same thing, and I thought it was real until maybe a few years ago.
Yes, I thought. It's just crazy that we would think that was real.
Yeah, and so Eminem in Stan even references the whole story about about Phil Collins signaling the guy out of
the that's right
but so Phil Collins did an interview and he just says about the song, he's like, I don't know what the song is about. He's like, I don't even know what I wrote.
Phil Collins
just like he should have just owned that urban legend. It just sounds so much more interesting.
It's like, I don't know, dude. I just came up with some lyrics that rhymed, and I just wanted to play some drums. I wanted a big solo.
Yeah, he started with the and he's like, I need a song for this. Right. I guess
he's like reading a shampoo bottle. He's like, well, that's how the fucking Traveling Wilburys. If you watch that little mini doc, they were just looking around the room and writing songs about Cheeto bags and shit. They were just like, "What's that over there?" and just start reading something and start a whole song on it.
I think Bob Dylan was barbecuing. It was.
Do you know how they came up with the name Traveling Wilburys?
I do, but tell us.
Oh. Well, it's less fun if you don't know. Okay. Well, it was...
Tell our viewers. Our 3 viewers. Tell them.
Well, in the studio, whenever there was a take that didn't sound so good, if there was mistakes or something, they would say, we'll bury it in the mix. And that's where the Wilburys came from.
Nice. I like that. I didn't know. I just wanted to act like I did. But I hadn't heard that. I knew it was something weird like that, but I don't know what it was. We covered that album though. It's a flawless album. So
you did that. That's
great.
To
be able to put that together the way they did in a short amount of time is pretty phenomenal. And it's kind of the swan song to Roy Orbison. So it's like some of his best work was on that album. So it's so cool.
Yeah, he was great on that.
Yeah,
he was only on the first. They did 2, right? He was only on the first one.
Yeah, he died before the second one. Death sucks, right?
Yeah.
Just ruins, second albums and tours.
So many tours there should have been.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so this next guy died that we're going to talk about, but he left a great body of work. And arguably one of the, I would say, top 5 comics of all time. If you've challenged me on that, you know nothing about comedy. And I feel like this is a comic that went through some transformation. It was a comic that kind of didn't find it right away, was kind of a little hokier than he ended up being, and a little kind of more character-y than he ended up being. And I think, a comic that just, if you do comedy, he's a guy you aspire to kind of have the edge that he has, and oh my God, the best rhythm I've ever heard in my life, and the best kind of flow, and the best kind of just being able to repeat details to bits and things and word use and just all kinds of stuff, is the great George Carlin. And George gets a guitar riff. Okay,
yeah,
he deserves it. Give a little George solo.
Hippy
dippy weatherman. I'm a hippy dippy weatherman. Yeah. Wow, we should really prepare more before the show.
I like it like this. Just whatever happens, just a stream of consciousness.
All right. There he is, George Carlin. So this album, You're All Diseased. You Are All Diseased. And I had the pleasure of actually seeing this special live. And
wow.
I got to see George Carlin live probably about 5 times, if I can remember. He was somebody that I knew that I had to see. He was getting older. He was the pulse. Every time I saw a special, I saw him work out specials. I saw him perfect a special. And then I saw 2 live taping of specials. I saw this one and his very last special. And it was just incredible to watch this guy work. And this special, I believe, was at the Beacon. And it was phenomenal to watch him just kind of, just take topics. And I always say, if George Carlin did a bit, there's nothing left. I feel like if you have an idea of the premise and George Carlin did the bit, then he did all of it. And he was just
no meat left on the bones.
There was nothing left. He would squeeze this thing. And that's what's so amazing about him. And I think the closest person we have that is probably Bill Burr or something, but still, George was another level past that. And George is one of the great all-time greats. And this special is, it's interesting about this special because George, before this special, George Carlin was considered edgy and raw and stuff, but he hadn't quite gotten to this point on the way it is on this album. And I was reading an interview, I believe it was in Vanity Fair, and George Carlin was talking about Chris Rock's special, Bring the Pain. And he said he saw that special and he realized that he had to go further. He said he saw this guy, Chris, he saw him kind of going in hard on culture and stuff. And he's like, I got to work harder and I got to. So it's so cool to me when like artists are inspired by other artists and you see the end result. And because that's why it's such a cool thing to know all the different artists that do this, because you could just, see, and watching the special, you could see where it's influenced a little bit with kind of what Chris Rock was doing. Because before Chris Rock, nobody was going that hard for a while. I mean, Kinnison and all those guys had passed. So it had been some time before there was somebody going in. Bill Hicks had been dead for a while. And so it wasn't a lot of guys coming out. So when Chris came out, and then so Carlin came out and, with this special, and it's really a phenomenal piece of work. And I remember being there and he's just going in, and so many funny moments that just still make me laugh when I was re-listening to it. I love the cigars. You got a big brown dick in your mouth, and just and like fuck the kids and like just making fun of children. And it was really funny in the beginning, because the beginning is airport terrorist security. This is 99 and 99, right before 9/11. So it's interesting because it's like he's just kind of going in, there's never been a terrorist. And so it's like, it's so funny. What?
But he was right. They didn't use bombs.
No, they didn't. They didn't do it. I just say it's just interesting when it's like, it just, when you hear this stuff before it's a major tragedy, and also the stuff about the germs, which is, another thing with now. So it's interesting to hear these things and then hear it later or whatever. But it's just really such a perfect album, in my opinion, as of the time. And about 80% of it holds up. Some of it's dated, but I think 80% of it is still, you could say today, and you could really bring it in, because we still have fucked up kids. We still have we're over, over parenting them and all that stuff. And so I just really love it. And I remember being there when he says, and it was such a defining moment in my life when he did the thing about, if there's a God, strike this audience down. And I'm part of that laughter. And so we all laughed. We were like, holy shit, that's so fucking funny. And so it's like, and just to know my laugh might be on that album. So I'm pretty excited about that. But and all the stuff about religion and God and all that was such great stuff. And I remember George Carlin was the guy that I would watch him and I would see him perform and I would be a better comic after. He's the only comic I can say that about. I would see him and just be like, holy shit, I'm doing this all wrong. And then I would go home and I would write something that was a little more heavier and meatier. And I would just be a better comic. I wouldn't try to be like him, but I would try to push the envelope a little further. And then I had the pleasure of meeting him once, got to talk to him for a little while. And, we were all, as a book signing, we told him we were comics. And so he spent about 15 minutes with us and everybody's pissed off. Took us over kind of in a corner to Barnes and Noble and started talking to us. And he said, ask me anything you want. I'm a comic or whatever. I talked to him about censorship and stuff like that. I said, everybody tells him to be clean. He says, don't you dare be clean. You just put your finger in their eye and you keep on twisting it. Something like that. He said to me, just fucking put it in their eye and just poke the fucking eye out. Like it just went off and we were like, ah! It was like, it's like meeting being a guitarist and meeting fucking, Eddie Van Halen, it was great. So it was just a beautiful moment and, just such a great, great, great comic. And I think this is one of his top 3 specials of all time for sure. And I just love everything, especially if all of us remember what it was like in this time. Yeah. And it's, he really captured it. And I think that's what a true artist does. He captures a piece of time. And he definitely did. And You're All Diseased. George Carlin. Right,
yeah.
Anthony, talk to me. What do you think?
No, I agree. I think this is like peak angry George Carlin. It's like he's perfected his angry persona by this point. But I don't think that like you put on an album that was recorded in 1999 and he opens up talking about airport security. I'm surprised by how well those bits hold up, because that should be automatically unlistenable after 9/11, but it's not.
Well, even last week when we were, with Ellen DeGeneres talking about food on the airplane and stuff. So some of that stuff is just, I don't know. You have to look at it in a bigger way, but that's how good he was, that he could do something
like 9/11 could happen, and those jokes still work.
Yeah. I mean, you can't bring a knife on, but yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can't bring a knife anymore. But I guess that's, They did step up but it is funny that he was complaining about security in 99 and now like
the best line ever. The best line ever. Who packed your suitcase? Carrot Top, like shit like that. It's just so fucking funny, Yeah. But yeah, it's I loved it too. And it's funny. I've always gone back and forth with I felt like George Carlin never did like a personal album, he never kind of revealed who he was. I mean, you saw a glimpse of who he was. He loved dogs because his dog would die. He'd do a whole bit on when dogs die. A little bit about his marital life and a little bit about his drug habits and things that he went through and overcame or whatever. But you never got like a Richard Pryor recording. You never got like this strip it down kind of thing. It was always these perfect kind of, just observational rants on society, cultures, and the system, and the government, and things like that. And so it was just, he's still a kind of a mystery. I mean, it's funny. I have his book, but I think part of me didn't read it because I didn't want to know all these things about him. Like he was like the superhero comic, like I didn't want to know that he was like fucking diabetic or whatever. Like I didn't want to know any of that shit. Like, what I mean?
Yeah. I relate to that. I think most of my favorite comics are like that too. Carlin is up there, and Stephen Wright and Mitch Hedberg and people like that. It's like you leave the show not really learning anything about what's their personal experiences, but just how they think about the world.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel comedy is not really headed that way now. I feel like now everybody's a storyteller, or at least tries to be, and like more biographical. And I think it's important to talk about yourself when you're a comic. It's important to get that makes you a good comic. You know, like if we didn't know about Louis C.K. and his daughters, if we didn't know about, you know, all these things from certain comics, you know, their specials probably wouldn't be as good as they were. And so, anyway. Louis C.K. Sorry, guys. Don't cancel me. I still think he's a great comic.
He just announced a tour today. Also, did he? Yeah, he's doing 2 nights at MSG at the theater over there.
MSG. Okay.
Yeah, next week.
Him and Cosby, or just by himself? That's a question for you Twitchers. Do you think that Bill Cosby and Louis C.K. should still be able to do comedy? Do you think that they should still be able to grab a microphone and talk and do comedy, or do you think they should totally just go away forever because of their transgressions? I'm curious. When does the art, you know, when is it about the art? When have people paid their debts? You know, I think, you know, if someone has paid their debts, you know, do they get to do art again? You know, that's a question. Mm-hmm. If anybody's going to come at me with that, but I would be curious about it. And also, if you have any George Carlin, you know, references or talk, we would love to hear about George Carlin. Why was he so great? Or what's your favorite George Carlin joke or something like that? It would be great to hear. Adam, what'd you think about this album?
So George Carlin's one of my favorites also, especially in the 90s. I saw him once, and it must have been during this tour, because it was December of 99. I saw him over at the Morristown Theater. And I mean, he was at his peak at this point. This whole album. I think it's pretty timeless. There's a few things, maybe the TV Tonight, some of the references there, the advertising lullaby that maybe don't hold up as well, but still just the rhythm, the flow of it it's still, still a snapshot of the time. It's just absolutely a brilliant album.
Yeah, I love it. It was good. It was funny. I saw him work on, I forget if it was this album. I don't think it was this album. I think it was the album after. And he was in Vegas, and he walked about 15 people. And he, it was great. He had his notes on the stool, and he was just it was one of those workout sets. That's the thing. When you're George Carlin, you work out in fucking Caesar's Palace, you know. Your open mic is a fucking auditorium. Crazy. So, and I think it might have been, maybe it was this bit. It could have been this album, because it was about religion. So he's going in on religion, and then these people got up, and he started yelling at them it was the greatest thing ever. He's just yelling at these old people that were storming out because he was doing Jesus bits or something. And he's like, then he just was like, "Don't you know who I am? How did you not know this is what I do? How did you not know this?" And he's just yelling at him. I mean, just going, it's like this, because Anthony knows, you have those Anthony's had quite a few of them, but you have these comedy meltdowns, and you just and you just lose it because people are so stupid, and you're just like, can't believe that these are the people we have to entertain sometimes. But to see that the level of Carlin, and that he still had to deal with idiot crowds. And when he's at the peak, he's at the peak. I mean, you don't get bigger than Carlin. Yeah. And then he still had to deal with assholes walking out on him because they didn't like his fucking reference of material. And it was just it was a humanizing moment for me. And I was just like, man, so I can't get all freaked out when somebody walks out on my Klan bit. I mean, look at this guy doing this freaking, this is masterful comedy, and they're still walking. So
and it lets you know it never ends, because he's not only he's famous, he's been doing it at that point 30 years, 35, 40 years,
probably longer than that.
And he still is dealing with people that somehow don't know the kind of comedy they've signed up for.
And they really don't. Adam, do we have any chit chat?
I mean, we have some of the viewers saying best of all time for me, or timeless with great insight. Let's see. So with the Louis C.K. and Bill Cosby stuff, one of our viewers saying depends on how bad the crime and can you pay the debt.
Okay. One guy went to prison, and another dude lost 30 million. So I don't know.
Right.
That was kind of a vague response, because I'm asking, do you think? I mean, it's these two guys, so I'm curious.
I'm curious to see Louis C.K.'s show at the Garden, see what kind of material he has. And
yeah, I mean, I think those of us in the comedy community knew that he was kind of a piece of shit. We just didn't talk about it because we didn't want to get back to him, but it was definitely something that circulated. He was a little weird.
Yeah.
Hey, go ahead.
Oh, he's here.
What, Anthony?
I had probably heard about some of that stuff, around about a year or so before.
Yeah.
He had to publicly acknowledge it. But I'm sure that people that were even, more successful people in those circles must have known for a really long time.
Well, I didn't like Louis, not because he pulled his dick out, just because one time I gave him a tag and he looked at me like I was a peasant for giving him a tag, and then he used it on Conan.
He's got to pay.
Yeah. I was like, dude, like he literally looked like, okay, buddy. And then he fucking used it. I was like, you dick. You couldn't have just given me a little love. I would have, it was so funny. Such a, what's up, Jeffrey Paul in the house?
Yeah.
Kind of sort in the parking lot. Where are you, buddy?
Yeah, I'm actually on a golf course right now. I just got through doing a set.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, boy.
I told you.
Mr. Big Time.
Yeah, didn't I?
Do we beat? Oh, no.
Yeah, you're having a little bit of an internet problem. I told you about that. Dustin knows. Nobody listens to me.
Motherfucker.
They don't have free
Try
Wi-Fi on that golf course?
There we go. There we go.
No, I did. I checked in with the Wi-Fi. I even did a test run with Adam before we did
you're
this.
good.
Anthony,
You're
I love the look, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you look like Borat, man. Like a rock and roll Borat, but you look great, man.
He looks more like a young Kelly LeBrock, the one who married Steven Seagal. No?
So what, you got a tan? Holy shit.
I never got that one before.
I'm looking at Dustin.
What?
Dustin has like a tan. He looks healthy. You look healthy. Like
right? I know. I'm happy. I'm happy.
LA
This
life.
is what happens when you leave New York. This is what happens. And you don't book a room and you leave New York. This is what happens. You get your life
younger
back.
and better looking.
Absolutely. Oh yeah. You're my favorite person today. There's going to be no fighting with us. I'll tell you that. Hotel California is the best album I ever heard.
That's right. That's right, Dustin. I really don't think you look good, but I just need someone on my side for this.
Oh, this guy. Well, fuck you, overrated Eagles.
We're so fickle.
With a fickle crowd. All right, bring it in, Jeff.
Nah,
we don't have much
great,
time.
Man.
We got 15. Bring it in. What do you got?
All right. Okay, yeah. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about the Eagles' Hotel California album, which I think is one of the all-time great albums. I mean, it comes out in 1976, and it is the classic lineup of Glenn Frey on guitar, Joe Walsh. This is Joe Walsh's first album with the band. Okay, he just came over from James Gang. Don Felder, who actually wrote the music. He wrote the song Hotel California, and my favorite song on the album, Victim of Love. Randy Meisner. So this is before Timothy B. Schmidt, who came over from Poco, who sings all the highs. This is before he comes in the band, and Don Henley. And this is an album that it took about 8 months to record, and Henley did it on purpose, and he wanted to release it in 76 because remember, 76 was a bicentennial year, and the album, he kind of, if you look into the words of the album and what the album is really about, it's kind of cryptic. It's kind of like a microcosm of how the United States was at the time, between success and excess. And he had an extremely pessimistic view of the country. A lot of people think it's a concept album. It's not. But if you're going to say there's a theme to it, maybe that theme is Paradise Lost, and also, this is a very, very different sound of prior Eagles albums. And I think a lot of that has to do with the influence of Joe Walsh coming into the band because he replaces Bernie Ledden, who was like one of the original members. You know, when the Eagles first started, they were a 4-piece. They didn't even have Felder. And he was a really more of a country western writer. So the Eagles' early songs, like, Peaceful, Easy Feeling, Take It Easy, have that country sound to it. Hotel California is different, and a lot of that has to do with Joe Walsh because he brings a heavier sound to the Eagles while, what's his name? Fry and Henley still maintain their pop. It's a great album. I mean, the title track, Hotel California itself, written by Don Felder, beautiful acoustic lead-in going into the electric guitar, almost has a Caribbean rhythm to it, very cryptic words to it. But I think what really stands out on this particular song are the classic dueling electric guitars between Felder and Joe Walsh, who are both phenomenal players in their own rights. I don't know, Henley wrote the lyrics and, weird words like, what is colitis? This the smell of colitis in the air. This could be heaven or this could be hell. Also, one of the lines, stuck it with their steely knives, but they just can't kill the beast. That was actually a reference to Steely Dan, who was a big influence on Henley as a writer. So it's a great track to start the album, and then it goes into a great country rock song.
It's so good. Great country rock song, and
yeah, he is good. And
keep going. You're almost done. You went out a little bit. Yeah, keep going.
You're back.
Oh, okay. I'm back. Okay. J.D. Souther, who helped write a lot of the Eagles songs, did write that song. I think, I don't want to be bogarting this whole thing, but I think it's an interesting story. And I think it's this album and this particular story that kind of leads to the bad feelings in the Eagles. And the song is Victim of Love. And it was, because Fry would write a song and get to sing on them. At the time, Bernie would write a song, or Randy Meisner, he would have a song on the album. He sings one of the real pretty songs on the second side. Felder, not Felder, what's his name? Don Henley, great singer. Felder wanted to sing, and he wrote the song Victim of Love. And he was told that would be his song. Okay. So they record the music of it, and it's a great, great rock song. And the Eagles manager takes Felder out to dinner. When Felder is out to dinner with the manager, Henley goes into the studio and sings the lyrics, and that's what they used. And that was supposed to be Felder's song, and he is pissed. They did this, behind his back, and it would be the manager takes him out to dinner and to dinner tells him this is what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a shitty move, man. It's a shitty move. It makes you not want to listen to the Eagles because they did that.
Among other reasons.
Yeah.
Life in the Fast Lane, I think, is the best song on this album. I love that song. I think that's the song, the beginning of that song, Joe Walsh. I love his voice, actually. He's my favorite one. I did the other two too sappy. They're too sappy for me. I like Joel. I like Walsh's kind of rock voice. I think it's Life in the Fast Lane is just such a cool song. I think that's one of their best songs ever, to be honest with you.
That one's not.
Does 185.
It doesn't really sound like the Eagles to me. It's almost like a Steve Miller band or something.
Yeah, it has its own kind of sound to it. That's why it's a separation from that typical Eagles sound. I think that is also why I like it.
Yeah.
And this is a great band. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, but much like Dustin the Wind, that opening lick was actually a practice that Joe Walsh would warm up to.
Yeah.
And
Well, a lot of this is in the
just like,
documentary. It was in the documentary. They talked about all this. And so that's a great documentary if you get a chance. The Eagles documentary.
Oh, it is.
It's one of the top documentaries. They talk about all this stuff that you're referencing. And I think it was great. You know, I just feel like the Eagles had a problem in the 70s and the 80s with being overplayed. They're another band that are victim of love, victim of over radio play. And I think that's why a guy like Anthony probably is not into the Eagles, is like, you know, it's old man music that was overplayed. And that's kind of what the Eagles' problem was. I also feel their departure from the Eagles was, I don't know. I feel like they are also a victim of the 80s. I feel like I hate all the 80s solo work that they did as separate artists. I feel like they had the talent to be a better band moving forward past the 70s. And they just kind of went this weird kind of 80s MTV route or whatnot. And I feel like there's a lot of used talent that made this band very successful and interesting. There's a lot of wasted talent that kind of made this band kind of softer and not as cool as they could have been. You know, I think they could have been a little more, you know, Thin Lizzy, and they could have been that, and they went in another direction. You know what I mean?
You didn't like Henley's solo work?
No, not really.
I like Boys of Summer. I think that's a good song.
I don't. It was just
Minute.
End of the Innocence.
He was dressed like a private eye and stuff. I wasn't into that. I was more into Twisted Sister and shit. Yeah.
What was he dressed like a private eye? That was Glenn Fry.
Oh, Glenn Fry, whatever. They're all the same to me. Glenn Fry. Remember, he had like a detective's hat or some shit.
Because he was in Miami Vice.
Yeah.
Right. You belong to the city.
That's right. I knew there was a detective somewhere. So it was that.
It's private.
Well, let's get to what we've all been waiting for. Anthony, so how do you feel about the Eagles, this album, and defend your answer? Talk to me. What do you got?
I agree that they are all very talented musicians. They can all play. They can all sing. They're wonderful. They just make some of the most uncool music I've ever heard.
What's uncool, Anthony?
Hotel California is possibly my least favorite song of all time.
Overkill?
Maybe that's it. It's catchy, but I just never want to hear it. And there's something that is like sounds repulsive to me about I just hate what they do. And maybe it's because I grew up listening to, like punk rock and stuff. And like the Eagles were considered one of the most uncool bands. Mm-hmm. That's how they sound. They didn't sound contemporary to anything that was happening when I was growing up, getting into rock and roll. So I just don't like it. The sound of it just, and it was overplayed. The fact that, if I put the radio on now, Hotel California will probably be playing.
At some point it'll come on. That's right. At some point.
I just don't ever want to hear it.
Adam, how do you feel about the Eagles? Are you kind of in the middle, or how do you feel?
Yeah, I'm kind of in the middle. I never really got into them, but one of our viewers, Chaz Site, says, does anyone under 40 know who they are? There we go.
Well, I'm under 40.
Barely.
They sold out 3 nights at Madison Square Garden on this tour. So,
well, people live longer these days.
People that appreciate good music go to good concerts.
Would you say that they are overrated?
No.
I would say they're all. I would say, I would say they got the value of what they are. They got all the accolades from it. They had their Grammys, they had their huge success, they had their huge tours. So yeah, they're definitely not underrated. You wouldn't say they're underrated, would you?
I hope not.
No, underrated.
Okay.
No.
Okay, that's the first band you like that you haven't.
Assessment. Yeah, they did get the Grammys. Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. You're right.
Well, so did Pat Benatar, and you still think she was underrated. So I think that's not always the bar, Grammys and success, because I've heard you say that about really successful people.
She's completely underrated.
Oh my God. Okay, well,
Pat Benatar used to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
She should be.
It's just a building. Jesus,
Is she not?
guys. No, she's not. It's just a
No, she
building.
is
Who
not.
cares?
No.
All right, whatever. Let's don't get on that tangent. Anything else from the Twitchers?
Yeah, we got Ito Lich says nobody's sampling their music for modern day collabs. Says a lot about it having its time, but it's over.
Wow,
That's a good point.
people are going in hard on the Eagles.
Yeah, I think also they kind of, especially nowadays, they slide into the yacht rock category.
Yes.
I think what also would hurt the Eagles is, the Eagles football team is the shittiest football team in the world. So it's the worst fans.
Worst fans. They won the Super Bowl a couple years ago.
So they throw batteries at fucking other teams. They're the worst fans ever. Really, a Super Bowl? The Jets won a Super Bowl. What does that mean, Jeff?
The Eagles won a Super Bowl 2 years ago. I hate the Eagles. So don't get me trying to defend the Eagles football team. I hate them.
All right, I was trying to do a joke there, but way to step all over it. Way to step all over it. Thank you, buddy. Way to step on that punchline. I thought we all did this together.
For the course.
I thought we were in a comedy foxhole together, but I guess not. We're all doing our own life in the fast lane. Okay.
Maybe it's his internet connection.
I think it's his internet connection. He doesn't let people be funny with that internet connection. We also talked about Dusty Hill from ZZ Top.
Yeah.
Jeff, when you were out doing your show. And these are some albums that I have: Eliminator, Yago.
Oh, you got Eliminator.
And I got them all. Yeah. It's this one. This one's really bad, but it's still fun. It's what's this one called? El Loco is really bad, but it's still great because it's ZZ Top. And then we talked about George Carlin. We talked about You're All Diseased. And do you have any comments on George Carlin or that's actual album?
I mean, George Carlin for me was like everything growing up as liking comedy. I mean, the baseball football bit, was the first exposure I think I've ever had to stand up. And I just thought it was amazing. I can't believe how it still stands up and what a great deep thinker and what a great writer he is. I mean, for me, Carlin is the benchmark. I absolutely adore him.
Yeah, he was great. Well, I think he did that bit on Saturday Night Live, actually. That was his opening monologue. He did that on there. I think he was coked up, but I think he talked about it. He said he was coked up when he did that monologue. But George Carlin is great. And the Eagles, I have the album, so I'm not any better. I'm not trying to pull an Anthony and say that I'm too cool for the Eagles. I have the album. I'll listen to it. I think the Eagles' Greatest Hits is one of the best Greatest Hits albums. I think it's a perfectly put together album. I think it has like all the good songs, and I could jam with some Eagles. I'm not one of those guys that hate the Eagles, but I do feel they remind me of U2, where I feel like they got overplayed. Yes. I used to be into them, and then the more they got played, the less I liked them because I just wanted to hear something else. And so I think that's why I listen to a lot of jazz and other things and blues because I don't hear it when I walk into a Rite Aid. I'm not going to hear Coltrane when I walk into to get my Advil
That'd be a
or whatever.
Hip Rite Aid,
right?
I also do not care for U2.
Yeah, well, I can see why, and it has a lot to do with and you kids out there. I mean, just because somebody's old does not mean they're not good. So don't just not like the Eagles because they're old. There's some good old music, and so there's a lot of great bands that your parents don't listen to all shitty music. Your parents have some good musical taste, and there's definitely some good stuff.
Well, look at Fleetwood Mac. How Fleetwood Mac took off recently. So the Eagles just need to have a TikTok video, or that's pretty much it.
No, they don't.
Or
they don't need that.
Or Bill Withers, like he did a commercial and they use his voice for his song for a commercial. Now people are into Bill Withers, which he was an amazing musician. And so, Jeff doesn't like Fleetwood Mac. So it's I think it's Eagles or Fleetwood Mac. You're either Eagles person or a Fleetwood Mac person. So I think you're an Eagles guy. I'm more of a Fleetwood Mac guy. So I get it.
If I have to choose, I pick Fleetwood Mac.
Yeah. Well, you
Of
have the
course you
haircut.
would.
You have the haircut. You have the
Just the Stevie Nicks.
It's very Stevie Nicks. Makes sense. All right, Adam, what's new coming out? What do we got?
Well, we had a couple of big ones last week. We had the Prince album, Welcome to America, which we'll have to check out soon.
We got to cover that.
Yeah. We had we also had the sophomore album from Billie Eilish, Happier Than Ever.
Nice.
Which I started listening to. It's very laid back. It's a little bit more. It's her. Yeah, it's her album about superstardom, and it's good. It's not as good, I think, as the first one, but yeah, I think it's one it's an album that'll probably grow on you though.
Yeah, the first album was good. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I thought the first album was great.
Yeah,
and the Prince album is going to be interesting. Like I started to listen to one of the songs, and then I just I was like, I'm going to wait and get the album and kind of listen to it from like top to bottom. I wonder, it's funny because it's like, when somebody releases music from an artist when they're, they've passed or whatever, it's like you wonder if like I have like, it's kind of like this, like I have jokes that I've written and whatever, and I'm like, ugh, I'm not gonna, be like somebody just finding the jokes that you didn't want to do on stage, and they're like, hey, here's this joke he wrote, and you're like, maybe I didn't want everybody to hear that joke. So I think with Prince, he just started making all this music and recording, just let me just push record just in case, and then everybody's like, here's his new album of shit he probably threw away.
Mm-hmm. So this is from the vault. This is totally unreleased. Oh, okay.
It's all brand new music.
Because he was putting stuff in the vault since the 90s at least.
Yeah.
I've been hearing about.
It's a double album.
Whoa. Yeah, I think there's over 200 hours of unreleased music still in that vault.
Yeah, it's going to be great. So
he
this
must have categorized stuff. He must have
probably
had a yes and no pile at least.
Yeah, I mean, but one of the best things I've ever heard from Prince was the cassette releases of Piano and Coffee. It's on Spotify, and it's just basically him with a piano, and he does like Purple Rain and some of the other songs.
Oh yeah,
but it's just him and a piano, and they're phenomenal.
That was what his last tour was, wasn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah,
I think so. Yeah, he had the big thing. Yeah,
that was supposed to. Yeah, I mean, people were raving about that
but
stuff.
Apparently, they found cassette tapes. It was just him, just like by himself playing, and like had with a boombox, just playing. So, yeah, I think we should cover that album at some point. Maybe next week we'll all talk, figure it out, guys. But that would be a good one to cover.
Yeah,
Fritz. So very cool. Thanks for tuning in from Delaware. Is that where you are? Where are you?
Yeah. I mean, Dewey Beach, Delaware.
Dewey Beach. All right. Very cool. Well, thanks for tuning in with us, Jeff, even though you're on the road, being awesome, doing comedy. And, don't be so hard on the Eagles, kids. There's a couple of good songs. Don't let Anthony. You can't just listen to Sex Pistols and Ramones. You gotta have some other stuff in your life. You gotta have balance. A few Eagles greatest hits. Get the Eagles greatest hits. That's what I would recommend. And thank you for listening, guys. Check out our Facebook page and our Instagram and all our stuff, and follow us. And let us know if you want us to cover an album. All right. Thank you for listening to Dustin's Vinyl. Anthony, why don't you play a song? Play us out.
All right. You want to hear one of mine or just?
Yes, one of yours. What do you got?
Okay. Let's see. Here's one that I will play right now. This is on my album, which is called Cats Using Toilets.
Nice.
I'm a powerful superhero. My only weakness is everything. My arch nemesis is human interaction. That's because I am Anxiety Man. Mind races faster than a speeding bullet. Panic more powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap to conclusions in a single bound, and I don't do well in crowds. I'm a hero paralyzed by fear, so who's going to rescue me? I need a trusty sidekick to take it from here. Oh look, there he is now. It's Depression Boy. It looks like my work here is done.
End of show, everybody. Thank you for listening to Dustin's Vinyl. You guys are awesome. Bye-bye. Yay. Bye-bye.